Well, we are back here today at another episode of The Intersection, at the intersection of technology and culture. It is my great pleasure today to welcome the thought poet, Isiah ThoughtPoet Veney, to the Intersection podcast today. Veney is a writer, a photographer, a community uplifter who creates spaces and workshops and events to strengthen communities all around Chicago. He's been in the art and creative scene and, you know, the social empowerment scene for a long time now. Like almost, how long would you say?
I think it's been 10 years.
Pretty much a decade. There you go. He came up through the U-Media spaces with Chance the Rapper and No Name and Saba, and he's been close and intertwined with all types of these like Chicago artists and creatives from that generation, like Vic Mensa and the whole Save Money crew. And you've been featured in the Field Museum, the Chicago Tribune, Essence Mag, Southside Weekly, the Chicago Reader. You've done work with Herbo, Taylor Bennett, like I said, Vic Mensa, Chance the Rapper. You even grew up on the same block as Mick Jenkins. Mm-hmm. And that's so interesting. And through your camera, not just as a journalist, but or someone doing one-off projects, but as a human being, you capture so much history of the city just by being around, by being outside, by connecting with people, and you have wedged yourself into documenting the story of a larger human ecosystem, in this case the city of Chicago, just by being involved with everyone around you and capturing those human moments. So I'm really excited to talk to you. I think we have a similar mission today to have a deep dive about Chicago and the culture of Chicago. And
I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Well,
I'm glad
thank
to be
you.
Here.
I've been doing interviews for a long time, and one thing that comes up again and again when I talk to people is, specifically with Chicago, is everybody always says, when I ask them, what's the downsides of Chicago? Oh, nobody wants each other to win. Crabs in a barrel mentality. And you hear this again and again and again. So I'm trying to understand, like, where does this mentality come from that you wouldn't want to see someone win if you can't? And like, in your opinion, where does this come from?
To be honest with you, and I feel like I've been really learning this in like the last 3 years, right? So like if folks, and I know people have their opinions on Kanye, but if you look at his documentary on Netflix and you were to just like take him out of the documentary, you literally can see over 10 plus years of like segregation and just like generational trauma when it comes to even how we collaborate with each other, right? Like the reason why Chicago has that persona, like we don't support each other enough or we don't help each other enough, is because there's always like we a city of gangsters, you know what I'm saying? Like we really be, you know, in survival mode, and I don't think people have ever understood that. So like even when we go back to 2012 and we talk about, you know, like how it's being now looked at as like a amazing era for Chicago's music, and it was, you know what I'm saying, because this was the blog era, and that's one of the downsides is that, you know, if you're an MC and I'm a graphic designer, I'm a photographer or something like that, and you feel like I'm really good at what I do, but you feel like I'm too good, you know what I'm saying, you feel like you can't do something as well as me or some shit, like it's a possibility you won't reach out or you won't build with me or you'll talk shit about me in other rooms just because you feel like you can't get access to me or you feel like you won't be able to like build with me or something like that. And that's really been 10 years of how people have moved in this city. And a lot of it comes from, again, trauma. A lot of it comes from harm that's taking place in community where we don't speak on it. And so, you know, we just continuously see like harmful people, gatekeepers, if you will, you know what I'm saying, taking up space and, you know, quote unquote, dictating who is getting reception or who's getting this attention and whatnot. And I think in this new wave that's happening in Chicago, like we're really trying to fight those narratives. You know what I mean? Like in real time, there's no one that could say Chicago is, this place is more inspirational than Chicago, or that space is like, Chicago truly is the mecca of creativity when you think about who's inspired by what we've done. You know
think
what I'm saying?
so?
Yes, when you think about jazz, when you think about contemporary music, when you think about even architecture, you know what I'm saying? When you think about politics, when you think about black culture. You know what I'm saying? When you think about just how culinary, like all of these different things. And I mean, this is like over years. This is over hundreds of years. You know what I'm saying? This is almost to the point of where Jean-Baptiste Bointou-Sabo, like when he, started discovering Chicago. That's who discovered Chicago. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all of these things have always been so connected. And again, it's always been because you can go past 35th and on the red line and realize that there's a cultural shift. You know what I'm saying? So like when you are heading south, you seeing black and brown folks, you know what I'm saying? You in the hood, you know what I'm saying? But as soon as you start going past Chinatown, you start seeing all these different things, you know what I'm saying? And people feel that. And when it comes to this music, when it comes to even like politics, you know what I'm saying? When you have weird politicians or activists, if you will, because that's all I even identify as an activist. I call myself an organizer because
I thought you were comparing politicians to activists. That's why
it's a lot of the same thing. It's a lot of the same thing, and that's the part where we've seen these individuals. You know what I'm saying? Like musicians, artists, innovators that have claimed that they were really about Chicago and changing it, and they were false flagging. You know what I'm saying? They were just saying that, oh yeah, I want to protect black women. Like it's about, uplifting LGBTQ identified folks. And these folks weren't even helping with mutual aids when young people were getting their ass whooped by police in 2020. And even then some. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a lot of levels to why this crabs in a barrel mentality is so strong in Chicago. And we've been really focused on trying to change that because, again, the future of this city is so in the balance right now. You know what I mean? Like people, when we talk about the blog era, we talk about, how these amazing artists got on. But again, the downside is that there was no blueprint. You know what I mean? Like there was no door left open. There was no necessarily, let me reach back and, build with these people. You know what I'm saying? Build with the homies. You know what I'm saying? Build with the people, my peers. You feel me? And when you think about it, on some hip hop shit, that happens in Cali, that happens in New York, that happens in all these other spaces. But again, because there's so much lack of community real engagement, like we can literally be like, yeah, I'm gonna do my thing over here and bro gonna do his shit over there. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it's been. And it's slowly but surely changing. So.
What do you think about it is changing, and how do you think people can push towards that change? Like if you could paint a picture for us what a Chicago looks like that's collaborative and abundant in its mindset towards collaborating with each other versus scarce and toxically competitive.
Honestly, I think, and again, it's already starting to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like the priority on community is slowly but surely starting to become the focus as far as, we need to make sure that there are resources being put into these communities. You know what I'm saying? We need to make sure that when we talk about food deserts, like that's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about lack of grocery stores, lack of resources for folks that just came from jail, even lack of resources for black mothers. You know what I'm saying? Like these things are very detrimental to how the city works. For example, I was part of a program called After School Matters. And if anyone knows about After School Matters, it's almost the reason why a lot of the creatives and innovators you see coming out of Chicago in the past 10 years even exist, because this program puts you in the hot seat of a lot of the things that you were interested in. So if you wanted to do photography, if you wanted to do any of these things, you were able to do that. But because over the years, resources got cut from these programs, and you got left with a lot of students that, wasn't able to do extracurricular activities, you know what I'm saying, and it's Chicago. So it's like, what you think gonna happen when you ain't got a lot of resources for youth? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they're gonna be out, they're gonna be chilling, they're gonna be quote unquote stealing cars or stupid shit like that. And it's like, people always want to point out the violence, or they always want to point out the negative, but we don't talk enough about, okay, what can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again? What can we do as far as like really proactive next steps to make sure that these things cease to exist anymore? You know what I'm saying? And so, again, slowly but surely, like just even advocating, even just taking up space and letting it be known that these are the things that these community organizations, these communities need, that's been a very big change. And again, the people that are doing all of this work are black and brown folks, LGBTQ identified folks, these artists, these innovators, and they've been here. You know what I mean? Like they've been here for years doing the work and not necessarily trying to be in front of a camera to be recognized. You know what I'm saying? Like they've been literally on just let me continue to take up space and build into something that people can believe in and create a legacy. And yeah, that's been a lot of what's been taking place, and I believe that's what's gonna really be the game changer to Chicago really, no longer being a place where there isn't love shown, or, people don't understand why is the drill music more glorified or celebrated, but you have hip hop giants. You know what I'm saying? You got neo soul, like just amazing singers. You know what I'm saying? You have R&B singers that are amazing, and they don't get the same attention. You know what I mean? And so because we're uplifting these communities, because we're really trying to build into our communities while we're doing this art, it's slowly starting to just be a different narrative.
One thing you mentioned that really stuck with me is how a lot of the community disparity in the city comes from just neglect. And so maybe the solution really just as simple as involvement. And so what do you think are some practical ways people can get involved, whether that's the powers that be, or I know you said many times that who gives a fuck who the mayor is right now, because it's the communities every day that have to be prepared to do the work. But like whoever it is in the city, how can we be more involved in communities in Chicago that have been so historically neglected, so that, like you said, Andersonville can look the same as Inglewood, resource-wise and attention-wise? And how do we create a Chicago that looks like that?
To be honest with you, I think it really just begins with, even just being in your own community. Like you just said, like, being in Andersonville. Like, it's very clean. My girlfriend, she works over there at a dispensary. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, even walking down the street, it's a completely different vibe as opposed to walking down the street in Aubrey Gresham or on Stony Island or in Chatham or something like that. And it's because you could literally go to a comic book store, or you can go to, a fancy Italian restaurant and, feel safe. You don't feel like, someone's gonna like do something weird or some shit like that. And it's like, that's because there are resources in those communities. And I'm not even talking about, there's a lot of police or something. It's like, no, like you can look at the streets and see there's no garbage on the ground. Right. You can look at the actual stores, and there's actual stores of variety. You know what I'm saying? Like you actually could look at the grocery stores and restaurants, and you can see people actually out and about. You know what I mean? Like I remember it was one time I was over in Andersonville, just because we were talking about it, and I think me and my girlfriend, we were coming from her job. It was like maybe 10, 11 o'clock at night or some shit. And again, I grew up in Chatham. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I'm every time I hear something, I'm like turning around. I'm just trying to be aware. And, everyone that was walking around, they were just willy-nilly on their phones and, just waltzing by. And I'm just like, y'all just got all the time in the world. And I'm just like, you can't do this where I'm from. You know what I mean? And it's just like, those culture shocks are so common. But it's almost like, as much as we know these culture shocks exist, we have to do the work to make it where they no longer exist. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when I talk about how, Humboldt Park, Wicker Park, Andersonville, like all these spaces should be the same as like going out south or going out west, that really is what it means. And it's like, when you go over there, even if you were to just, like how today is hot, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, most people, will probably be in the crib, or, you know what I'm saying, be at some type of pool or something that's soothing and calm. When you're from the hood, you don't really have a lot of those options. You know what I'm saying? Because you're worried about your electricity getting cut off, because 9 times out of 10, there aren't resources for you to help you get your bills paid. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the gas bill, when it comes to even having the finances to get a air conditioner. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these things are challenges that really stop like generational black and brown families from even wanting to do anything else outside of like go to work and go home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so to your question, even just, starting mutual aids, you know what I'm saying, for community organizations, or, doing donations where you're taking in food donations or taking in, baby product donations or something like that. really looking into what community organizations are doing the work, right? Because like with Inglewood, on average, weekly, there's at least 5 to 7 different things going on.
Really?
In a week. Like every week there's something going on in Inglewood because it's like, I dare say 30 plus different Inglewood organizations that are focused on conservation, focused on the housing economy, focused on all different things that when you think about any neighborhood, these things are monumental to the just survival of a human being. You know what I'm saying? And so we're really just advocating for what a human being needs to live. And it looks like it's so like a different like beast, or it's like it seemed like this is so surreal, like, oh man, like how could this be not existing? How does these communities not have these things? And you gotta, again, when you think about even going back years ago, you know what I'm saying, and we've had the different mayors that we've had in office, and we've had the different types of like priorities put on, you know, police budgeting, but you still have all of these communities that are very, very underserved. You know what I mean? That's why when folks were talking about Lightfoot, and how she spent over, I think, like $200 million of COVID relief funds and gave that to police, when you literally had like people almost like backed up at hospitals and different clinics out south and out west, even attempting to get COVID-19 shots. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's a lot of levels to it.
It sounds like one thing you're saying is, the good news is that every day there are people doing the work. So if there are more avenues to supporting them, then we can accelerate this change. So is there anybody off the top of your mind that you're close with or who you've seen from afar that you're like, these people, if they got support, things would be better? Like,
Good Kids Mad City, supporting their peace book.
That's what McCoffrey. Do you know who the owner of Fortune House in Bronzeville? So I interviewed McCoffrey's a good friend of mine. I interviewed him, and one of the first things he mentioned was Peace Book when I asked him this question.
Yeah, and even just bringing it up is important because when we talk about everything we've talked about as far as like disparity and like not having enough resources, the Peace Book created by Good Kids Mad City really talks on getting those resources and really, you know, creating safety plans and creating, you know, just resources for safety when it comes to Black and brown communities. You know what I'm saying? And so, oh man, this is something they've been fighting for rather. I want to say like plus 5 years now. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, you know what I mean? So Good Kids Mad City, Chicago Freedom School, Imagine Inglewood, Rage Inglewood, I really could keep naming enough organizations. Dion Chicago Dream, like you definitely have to support him because he's literally delivering fresh groceries to your door.
Oh wow!
I mean? So like
he's doing that by himself.
He has a team, but like literally at the beginning of 2020, he would go to different refrigerators that he had set up in different communities, and he would just literally like refill them up with like
fresh fruit, with fresh
produce,
and he would
like
go,
literally, and it's only because
that's a really smart idea.
Yeah, and it's because if you really think about it, especially being, you know, from a South or West Side community, most of the time you don't get access to that kind nutritious of food. You know what I'm saying? So vegetables and, you know, fruits, and there's really all the things that the person needs to like actually be
healthy. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Versus like if you were living in the West Loop or living up north,
it's all like, right there.
Not only is it right there, but it's almost being over delivered. You know what I mean? Versus like, you know, even on Uber Eats, you know what I'm saying? Like you look like if you in the West Loop or you're up north or something like at Albany Park, you literally see healthy options. You know what I'm saying? Like you see little, you know, family-owned restaurants that sell like really nutritious foods and stuff like that. Versus out south, out west, you just get nothing but hood restaurants. You know what I'm saying? Like, and trust me, I love my Italian beefs, you know, better than anybody. But it's like, you know, you're constantly being given this type of food.
Yeah. As
you know,
a human being, that's not.
You know what I'm saying? So that's when you get the high sodium, the high cholesterol. You know what I'm saying? Like Black and brown people get the diabetes. Like it's all of these different generational illnesses that are literally caused by not having resources and neglect. So,
the That's a really smart idea. I'm gonna have to look that up later, because if there was more people like that, because I mean, ideally we want to have all those resources right there, but until they're right there, if you have a bunch of people going about it in guerrilla ways, like being able to get people those resources, and as long as those things are accessible, like being Dion, you said
Dion Chicago Dream. Yep.
As long as someone can get in touch with the Dion in a way that's accessible, then that's kind of like scrappy, startup-y way almost to. That's so cool. Anyway, what else? You touched on this earlier, just how influential the Chicago music and cultural scene is on the rest of the country. Do you know who Dilla Thomas is?
Yeah.
So he likes to say all the coolest things about America come from Chicago. It's like one of his taglines. And I heard you say that Chicago is like was one of the most influential places. And so I agree with you guys, but I also hear a lot of people from other places. They're like, "Nah, what are you talking about? Da, 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 da. Chicago isn't as good as New York or da 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 da." So I'm curious to hear from you, like, what are all the, whether it's from Muddy Waters to Chief Keef to whoever, like, tell us why Chicago is really an influential place when it comes to music. And
honestly, King Louis said it best. If you make it in Chicago, you really can make it anywhere. And it's funny because so many people don't stay in Chicago when they get the recognition or they get the accolades, like they get it and they move around, and that's fine, you know what I mean. But like, we've seen so many artists go other places and get on, and they're from Chicago, which is great. It's amazing, but it's almost like becoming the hometown hero in Chicago literally means like you're like everyone is gonna know who you are. Best example is Chance the Rapper. You know what I'm saying? With his climb to glory, it was something everyone was so excited about because he was touching on Chicago things that people weren't even really bringing light to, like footworking and just not necessarily being a hood guy or, you know what I'm saying, coming from the land, but you got homies that are dying every day, you know what I'm saying, in the summertime specifically because they are in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know what I'm saying, and just how you process that trauma, you know what I'm saying, like these things truly made him be more unique because he was just talking about Chicago, you know what I mean, and so, I think even from that, people, one just kept understanding like it could be more than just me. You know what I'm saying? Like it can be everyone. You know what I mean? And so, I think even with just naming off different individuals that come from Chicago, like you said, Dilla, he's magnificent at doing that, and it's like people really be sitting there like, yo, like he didn't just name off at least like 40 different people that are like almost controlling the world that had some type of connection to Chicago. You know what I mean? Like they literally were inspired by Chicago, or, they went to school here, or they met the love of their life here, or something here changed them. You know what I'm saying? For the better. And it's like in every single aspect, like you can go into drill music, you can go into country music, you can go into jazz, you can go into color, you can go into all these different topics. And somewhere you're going to have someone from Chicago that's like very much so calling the shots. And it's not like it's, on accident. It's like, no, like the work has been done to really make sure that these folks have like, this is who they are. You know what I'm saying? And so I think people like to just not give us our credit. You know what I mean? And it's kind of weird because it's like it's not like we are not here. Like we ain't hiding. You know what I'm saying? Like we're definitely out here. We doing our thing. But I think it's just the lack of support that we have with each other that really makes it where, other places can talk shit about us in some weird way. And it just comes off like that. But it's like we really, again, it's something that's been changing very, very slowly, but I really think that's where the bulk of it comes from.
You said as well, and other people I've talked to, how we kind of talk down on ourselves sometimes too. like, oh, Chicago isn't really like that. Oh, there's this thing wrong with the city. There's always like trying to point the finger while there's something wrong with us. And so do you think one of those solutions is just like having people try to put on more for people being excited about being from Chicago?
Not only that, definitely all of that, but also doing the internal work, right? Like really doing the work when it comes to, because again, another big part of why people view this scene in a very beautiful but very like sad way sometimes is because there's so much harm that doesn't get acknowledged in this community. You know what I'm saying? Like you've had whole institutions cause harm for years on end, and it took some very huge, like almost like breaking the dam type of moment to acknowledge all of this harm that's taking place and acknowledge that people were being treated unfairly when it came to, you know, just acknowledging their art in this city. And the work to change that has to happen. You know what I mean? Like even since 2023 in Chicago, there's been multiple organizations that have been called out, you know what I'm saying, for harming women. And it's women that constantly keep, you know, calling out these things, and you know, we listen and we don't listen. You know what I'm saying? And I think that plays a huge part in it, is that we don't do enough of the internal work to really make sure that these things don't happen anymore, as far as like, you know, just harm in general. But more importantly, making sure that people understand how to maneuver and how to not take up negatively space when you're in a lot of these spaces. So,
when you say take up space in a negative way, can you elaborate on what you mean by that?
Yeah. So, for example, shout out to Lady Lambre. She spoke out on her abuser that is very well known, is a very well known photographer in Chicago, and this person, interestingly enough, has harmed several other people. And what was interesting about it was these people just kept coming, these women, mind you, it was no guys, it was all women that kept coming up to me and being like, yo, like this person is being very harmful. And I'm just like, damn, I don't even know who this person is for real. Like, why is this constantly happening? And again, like just seeing how many conversations came up about how this has been years of harm, years of neglect, you know what I'm saying, where we're not having conversations in the community. We're not having enough peace circles. We're not having enough circles in general. We're not having enough restorative and transformative justice conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not having enough of those, and people want to leave. People feel like they've been harmed. People don't want to take up space, you know, anymore. You know what I mean?
So is what you're saying is the connection to Chicago, that when stuff like this happens to Chicago, people might get more ignored than you might somewhere else?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I see.
Especially, I mean, even going deeper, like with the organizing community in Chicago, because I'm from that space as well. As much as I love that space, because again, like you have some of the brightest minds, in my opinion, that have come out of that space in Chicago for like the last 10 years, and they just so happen to be artists. That's how Rick Wilson became who he is, because he also came from the organizing community.
I didn't even know that.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, while saying that, there's been so much harm that's taken place in the organizing community, even in like the last 5 to 7 to 18 years. You know what I'm saying?
You mean within the organizing community?
Exactly. To the point where you have whole groups of folks that was super Chicago and super just trying to like help us, you know, just continue doing this work, no longer even interested in being in Chicago anymore, just because of the harm.
Just rubbed them the wrong way.
You know what I mean? And it takes a lot, and that hurt can stick on you. You know what I'm saying? That hurt, I'm speaking from personal experience, that hurt can really attach itself to you, because you start to feel ignored. You know what I'm saying? Even with my own personal experiences in the organizer community, where, you know, I've had to attempt to call out people that have harmed me, and people are like, no, that ain't happened to you. You know what I'm saying? It was a black woman, but no, that ain't happened to you. That is just impossible. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, well, damn, like I'm, you know, like I like you don't even know what to say to that. You know what I mean? Because these are people that you've built with. These are people that you trusted, and you start seeing true colors. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, a lot of that plays huge parts in it, and I feel like that's why what I'm doing with my creative agency and social aesthetics is so important, because we're trying to make sure those narratives, these stories that, again, all of them are negative, all of them hold pain. We're trying to make sure these things are being acknowledged, and we're truly trying to do the work to build from these moments, because that's the only way the future of this scene is going to continue to get better. You know what I'm saying?
That's tough, because especially in something like organizing, where you're trying to do something so positive and you throw yourself into something that's supposed to be really positive, but then you get caught up in the mix of all this weird negativity where you're like, wait, I thought we were supposed to be like really positive, and now I feel like jaded by you guys. So I don't know. That seems like such a stark contrast.
Yeah. I mean, bro, even in my own personal experience, like I said, like the organization I was a part of, BYP 100, like I looked at them like family, you know what I mean? And it was only because, we're, doing these protests, and, what I'm saying, we're talking about, uplifting black women, and, really just being a part of community, you know what I'm saying? And I'm from the hood, you know what I'm saying? I grew up, born and raised from Chicago. So it's like, I'm coming into spaces and I'm learning these things and I'm experiencing these things as an outsider. You know what I mean? So when I'm listening to it, I'm just like, oh man, like this is very needed stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like learning how to use pronouns, and, just learning consent, and learning how to, not quote unquote blame a woman for something because, oh, she's wearing this or she did that. It's like, no, you know what I'm saying? So I'm learning all of these things, and I'm just like, man, these people are amazing. Like, they got my back. Like, if I were to ever be arrested or something weird were to happen, like, they got me. And in 2020, when the George Floyd protest happened and I got arrested, that did not happen.
Wow, they weren't even there.
No, they weren't there. You know what I mean? Even to this day. And in real time, my girlfriend, like the people I build with, like they've all been like, man, you gotta let that hurt go. You gotta let that hurt go. And it took me really up to this year to realize that this hurt that I'm talking about, these are things that truly stop people from wanting to continue to be a part of the Chicago scene. As beautiful as it is, as impactful as it is, that's like me literally telling you, like, man, I know you helped me get on, but I ain't fucking with you. I ain't even finna help you. I ain't finna shout you out. I ain't fucking with you at all. So if you got a problem, you got to figure that shit out yourself. That will make you be like, fuck y'all. Like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me move my ass somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's exactly how you would feel. And it's like, myself, other individuals in this scene, it becomes almost an art form, trying to not let those things sit on you, not let those things get in your spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like, being the bigger person, it really, takes a lot of energy to do that. And that's exactly what we're trying to change. You know what I mean? Like, we're really about having these difficult conversations. We're really about not only being transparent, but really, working on that radical healing and that radical acceptance to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all truly can eat. We all can get the credit. We all can, be acknowledged together. And it comes with building community. It comes with truly understanding and trying to understand each other. Listening to understand and not listening to respond.
I'm trying to think, because this sounds like if it's something that can be, I feel like there's something key here that you're getting at that I'm trying to figure out the right way to articulate, which is, if we're going to create community organizations where we want to have this kind of positive impact, and we want to make sure that people continue to build on top of Chicago and create that compound effect, that we don't want to make people feel jaded or like, but that's easy.
Make them feel dismissible. Make them feel like they're not of value.
But then I'm thinking, is that a broader lesson that we can apply to people moving forward in general, or is this like a specific scenario type thing where?
That's a good question. In my opinion, I feel like this is something that could be applied everywhere. But I feel like with Chicago specifically, it's going to be a game changer, and it's because it's never really been done before, especially in this like Chicago creative scene. You know what I mean? Where it's like you really see collaborative efforts, you really see people, shouting each other out and really like uplifting each other and just really being about community and love and supporting each other. It's really never been done. And maybe someone else would have correct me, but I feel like in my experience being in this scene, it's never been done, right? But in real time, like we were talking about, like these things are not really difficult things to understand. Like these are really concepts that help civilization type shit. Like this is what helps the human race kind of like, begin to evolve and continue to evolve. You know what I mean? So I really do believe this principle can be applied everywhere. You know what I mean? But I think it really is gonna count on the curators. You know what I'm saying? The innovators of this city to continue pushing that effort. So like the work from Healthy Hood Chicago, the work from on social aesthetics, the work from Inglewood Branding, all of these spaces that are doing a lot of work to, again, uplift these community efforts and uplift these community principles that are very honestly relative to the Black Panthers and the structures that they had to continue building and just build a community. You know what I mean? Like these things aren't that difficult. And again, when you think about even like bigger picture like situations where again you have spaces like the Pullman area, you know what I'm saying, mm-hmm. that were like Black wealth, like Black generational wealth, you know what I'm saying? And it's like over years it began to not be that just because of no resources, no jobs, no conflict resolution. Like all of those things played a huge part in it. And it's like the work that Inglewood's Art Collective is doing to uplift these neighborhoods and these communities, like it's so important. And the work to sustain these things moving forward is just as important. So
you mentioned Healthy Hood Shy and unsocial aesthetics.
Yep.
Can you talk about the event that you did with them, and then like what's good, what's cool about the work that they're doing that you feel like could be applied to other people or what anybody else wants to do?
Absolutely.
Like what lessons can we take from the best practices of people doing dope community work and like have us share those kinds of you know what I'm saying, stuff in the rest of the city?
So, in my opinion, I feel like Healthy Hood is one of the leading pillars when it comes to showing examples of artistic reflection and community engagement and fusing them into one. I feel like they truly try their very best to put real community efforts out in the hood. You know what I mean? You have individuals like Rico Shy, Freddie Oso, Jazz Star, Louis Marks, Monty Jordan. All of these individuals frequent Healthy Hood, and they just so happen to be some of the leading artists in Chicago at this very moment that are leading hip hop and neo soul and R&B and just everything that people are looking for when it comes to just amazing sounds and amazing community work. You know what I'm saying? Like the people I'm speaking on, they're actual teachers. You know what I mean? Like they literally teach like womb protection circles with like Black and brown mothers. You know what I'm saying? Like these people really be out here doing the work. And again, after my time with BYP 100, I kind of became like a lone wolf, if you will. I kind of just stayed to myself and continued doing the work. Just because, again, like you
feel like the work wasn't worth giving up on, but you felt jaded by these people who you thought were meant to be your circle of...
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest, when I got arrested, when my ex was trying to cancel me and she was lying on me, And I didn't get support with getting arrested. I didn't get support with, holding her accountable for the harm she was trying to cause. It really made me just feel dismissible. It really made me feel like, if I were to die tomorrow, I would just be an Instagram caption, and maybe not even that. You know what I'm saying? And I really had to process that. And I was really trying to let it go. And my first reaction was, I don't want to do this shit no more. Like, I didn't want to do photography. I just didn't want to be a part of this no more. You know what I'm saying? And again, organizations like Good Kids, Mad City, Undoing Our Erasure, Chicago Freedom School, all of the little homies, all of the youth in Chicago, you know what I'm saying? They were seeing me out at these protests and seeing me, taking up space and trying to, create mutual aids and all this. And they were the ones that were like, yo, like, we need you. You can't just, you can't go nowhere. We need you. And, that really made me just get in a space of, yo, like, I'm going to just do what I can. I'm going to just truly try to do what people not would expect of me, but I just am going to be present, and I'm going to help as much as I possibly can. And that's through the form of my art. That's in the form of my words, my photography, all of these things, right? So when I went to Healthyhood, mind you, I'm very much so an introvert, but I'm an extrovert when I have to be. So I'm normally coming into spaces, I'm in the corner somewhere, I'm chilling, like I'm damn near hiding in plain sight. So again, when Alan, the official, like he would greet me every time I would, come into the space. I'd be like, the fuck, you don't need to talk to me. Like, I ain't nobody, you know what I'm saying? And so, he started doing that. And then, Tanya Alonso, his partner, she started doing that. And again, these are very important people. You know what I'm saying? They be in the community every single fucking day. I feel like they're in the community more than I am. You know what I mean? And so they saw me. And I wasn't counting on that because I'm just like, I'm just going to do my thing. I ain't going to take up too much space or whatever like that. But they were like, no, we want to uplift you. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, just if I'm being honest, they were the ones who continue to help me realize who I am in this city and who I am to this scene. Because I didn't really think I amounted to much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't really think what I was doing was important. But people like Dilla, you know what I'm saying? People like Inglewood's Art Collective, so Tanika Johnson and all of these individuals, like, they literally were like, nah, like, we see you, and you think these people that, don't rock with you, like, we know it hurts, but we see you. And I was just like, damn, maybe I need to focus more on the people that do acknowledge what I'm trying to do. And I think with that, it really made, when I decided to, rebrand, because on Social Aesthetics was actually the Lyrical Lab. And that was an institution that was owned by True Star Magazine. Cole Bennett copied a lot of what we did back in the day, but the whole point was, it was a whole, that's
Lyrical Lab, Lyrical Lemonade.
Yeah, yeah. So with
whoa, that sounds like a whole that sounds like a whole story within itself.
We can get into it. And so,
wait, what is True Star again? That sounds like a
True Star,
big magazine.
True Star is the blueprint to a lot of what's going on right now in Chicago when it comes to media, when it comes to interviewing these artists, when it comes to, in my opinion, they're like a Chicago XXL or a Chicago The Source or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I worked with them, they really turned me into an A&R. And I was doing that work even before I started doing A&R work now, like I am. But, like, they were the ones that were telling me, like, yo, if you fuck with something, prove it to us. Like, prove that this is something we should talk about. So I was literally the one screaming in the back of the office, like, yo, Chance the Rapper is the shit. Listen to 10 Day. Listen to Saba. Listen to No Name. Listen to Raven Lene. Listen to Spenzo. Listen to all of these. Like, I'm just going crazy with all the artists that you see that have been signed and recognized now. You know what I'm saying?
You were like working with them in the office and trying to think about new publications and stuff.
I'm like, yo, like, they need to be in the paper. They need to be in a fucking video. Like we need to talk about them. You know what I'm saying? And it was only because, again, True Star Magazine was being put in every single CPS school. It was a magazine that was made by teenagers about teenager shit. So it was like, literally, I'm taking photos of the artists and I'm taking, like, fashion shoot photos, and I'm like 16, 17. I'm not even I'm not even necessarily a photographer yet, but I'm like I'm writing articles on KRS-One and Wu-Tang from Raekwon from the Wu-Tang Clan. Like, I'm writing about these people, and I'm like 17, 18. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even out of high school yet. I'm being snuck into clubs to interview these folks, and then it gets written about and published, and it gets sent to all these different schools and shit. So like, for me, I was in a space of like, yo, like, this is crazy. Like, I can really do this shit. And mind you, I went to Harlan on 95th and Michigan. I don't know if you know your CPS schools, but that's not the best CPS school, but it ain't the worst. You feel me? So it's like, it was no reason why I was doing what I was doing. If I'm being honest with you, I should be dead. Because that's what most of the realities of the people I went to high school with, that's their reality. You know what I'm saying? So like, people like me, people like DJ Hustlenomics, who helped host Chief Keef's first mixtape.
I know DJ Hustlenomics.
You know what I'm saying? Like for us, we were just like, yo, like, we just trying to, you know, do something that's different than the shit we see around us. You feel me? So on top of all of that, I was homeless. You know what I'm saying? So when I was doing True Star Magazine, when I was doing the Lyrical Lab, for me, it was do or die. It was like, nah, these people have to be talked about because they're not being talked about nowhere else. You know what I'm saying? So when unfortunately True Star put the Lyrical Lab on hiatus because they just didn't know how to fund us, you had Cole Bennett in the same spaces as I was. You know what I'm saying? We put up Lyrical Lab stickers. He put up Lyrical Lemonade stickers. You know what I'm saying? We built it with people like Femdot and Martin Sky and all of these individuals. He started building with those people. You know what I'm saying? And again, I never took offense, really, because I'm like, oh, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, he see what we doing, you know what I'm saying? He's inspired. You know what I mean? So it was like when the Lyrical Lab went on hiatus and then Lyrical Lemonade just took the fuck off, it was just like, oh, damn, like, that's what's up. Like, even in that, I still was somehow finding a way to send praise, even though it had nothing to do with me. So people were coming up to me like, yo, like, it's a Lyrical Lab, a Lyrical Lemonade. And I'm just like, yeah. And for me, it was I was very scared to tell my story about any of that, just because I didn't know how people would perceive me. So when I talked about this for the first time on the Vicky Street show, yeah, I was just more like, yo, like, I ain't got no bad blood with Cole Bennett. Like, if I see that man now, it's like, yo, let's have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Let's do something for the city that's actually gonna impact the city. You know what I mean? But it's like, I've just never had no bad blood with bro in anything he's did. But it's like, yeah, like, he definitely was inspired by what we did. You know what I mean? So it was like, going back to the Healthy Hood conversation, when we launched our website for Unsocial Aesthetics and we had our showcase, it was really just to show off the same exact thing that we did with the Lyrical Lab. Because before we went on hiatus with the Lyrical Lab, we did a showcase, and it was all a Pivot Gang. It was No Name when she was still, you know, going by No Name Gypsy. I don't know if you're familiar with Rapper Chicks. Shout out to Henny B. But like, it was some very heavy hitting artists on that bill. And again, this was us just as kids. We were just like asking favors. We was like, yo, like, you want to come through? Like, can you come support us? And you had legends like Vic Spencer coming through to support. You know what I'm saying? And so with this Social Aesthetics showcase, it was really just doing the same exact thing, letting it be known like, yo, like, we are literally standing on history. We know our city's music, and we know our city's music now. So when you saw Jazz Star, the Karma Fat Band, Stock Marley, Rico Shy, Vicky Street, Freddie Oso, like, when you seeing all of these artists, Monty Jordan, you seeing all of these artists performing, you know, people thinking like, oh man, like, y'all like coming crazy. It's like, nah, man, these the homies. These the people we believe in. You know what I'm saying? And so I would say from that moment to this one, it's really just been amazing seeing the ripple effect from that showcase. Like, if it wasn't for that showcase, Rico Shy wouldn't have been as in tune with Healthy Hood like he is. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't have said Healthy Hood on Sway in the Morning. You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't have maybe not happened. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't even look at things like that. I'll be more so like, yo, these things have to happen. These people have to connect. These conversations have to happen. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, when people talk about the divide or the gap that was in Chicago, like G Herbo talked about that. He was like, what is, I think he said that it was brought up on the Breakfast Club, I think last year or something like that. What was missing in Chicago? And the answer is Chicago unity. You know what I'm saying? Like you building with me and me building with you. Even this interview, like this is fucking monumental because we're talking about shit that people have in whole conversations at shows and at kickbacks all around Chicago, but we don't have a place to reference these things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when people talk about the ins and outs of Chicago, it's like, no, we really do know what the fuck we talking about.
Right. Because people are talking about this stuff all the time, but there's not a lot of focal points where people can, where people from all these different areas can say like, yes, we are on the same page about this. Like, let's push towards a future of Chicago where people are on the same page about that unity. Because people are talking about it all the time.
No, and it's so weird because even when people, look at my interviews or talk to me or, hear about anything I'm doing and they see how it's so about Chicago music or Chicago organizing, they're like, oh man, like you really must know your stuff. Like you really do research on your stuff. Not really. Like I was really blessed to be in these spaces to experience these things. You know what I'm saying? Like when I bring up, Chance the Rapper when he dropped 5-day, not 10-day. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole
I didn't even know
experience.
that was a thing.
You know what I'm saying? He dropped a project called 5-day at the Leaders when it was on Wells Street. And if you ever went to the Leaders on Wells Street, that was a whole ass era. You know what I'm saying? Cool Kids, Rocky Fresh, like all of these individuals, like we all give our inspirations to Leaders. You know what I'm saying? So it was like if you did some shit at Leaders back then, even now, but if you did something at Leaders back then, niggas was like, yo, like who that? You know what I'm saying? Like what's to them? You feel me? So it was like when he did that, it was just a moment, you know what I mean? And I was a part of that, you know what I'm saying? Like even thinking about Saba when he dropped Comfort Zone, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, John Walt, you know what I'm saying? And like him and John Walt doing the Walt dance, you feel me? And like just all of these moments, you know what I mean? Where like, No Name's dropping her first project, and you seeing Tink get signed, you seeing Dreezy get signed, you know what I'm saying? You seeing Z Money get signed, you know what I mean? Like all of these different artists that represent so many different sides of Chicago were getting recognized. And again, I'm in the moment, you feel me? I'm being a creator or whatever you call it. So I'm just being very much so appreciative and, writing or taking my photos or what have you. But I never looked at it as I was being a historian. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like that's why when Dilla himself told me like, nah, you're doing the same shit I'm doing. I'm just like, what? Like, man, you famous off that shit. Like you tweaking. And like it really took, again, like people like Tanika Johnson and all of these different just OGs, you know what I'm saying? Vic Spencer, like Renzel from Studio Shapes, Stock Marley, you know what I'm saying? From Free Nation. It took all of these OGs to talk to me and be like, nah, bro, like you really are that person that is going to help us continue to know our history so we can know our future when it comes to this Chicago scene shit. And I almost shuddered at that thought because I'm like, damn, that's a heavy ass burden almost. You feel me? Because like, again, this is Chicago. Like it's so many different things. Like what makes me, qualified to speak on these things? And then I think about, again, back to the Kanye documentary, which was completely narrated by Cootie. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to, Zero Management. You know what I'm saying? But like Cootie literally talks about his experiences, and I felt so connected to bro. Never met him, you feel me? But I'm like, damn, this nigga talks so Chicago. Like it's all of his voice. Like I just feel at home hearing him talk. You know what I'm saying? And so, him talking about the same things fucking 40 years ago. As far as like you seeing The Brat and you seeing Crucial Conflict all talking about the same things. As far as like Chicago needing that unity, I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? Like this, is it that deep? Is it really that real? And it's like, it really is. You know what I'm saying? And in real time, that's what really pushed me to understand, like, my story is my story. And it's like, even when this drop, it's like, I'm an open book. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm ready to have those conversations with people. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, I think I just stopped really giving a fuck about people's opinions and just really stayed true to what I fell in love with, which was this city's art and music. You know what I mean? I feel like if I was born somewhere else, I'd probably be just as attracted to this city just because of what it represents. You know what I'm saying? And I really do consider it a blessing to be born and raised from here. So,
real shit. Where can we go from here? That was a lot.
It was a lot. Man, where do we go from here? I got this list of artists that y'all need to be looking out for.
Shout out artists, because anybody watching right now, whether they're in the technology scene or they're also in music, people are always, at least I hope so, using the intersection as a way to continue to intersect, to look for people to collaborate with, to look for people to work with. So anybody, shout out who right now at this moment in time in Chicago are the artists that you think are like have something going for them.
So Monty Jordan, Freddie Oso, Rico Shy, Linda Soul, Jazz Star, Shai Tulani, Tierra Deschanel, Laura Haiti, Dialect Trey. Who else am I thinking of? Stepchild. I think I just gave you 10 people. I'm gonna give you maybe 2 more. Give you 2 more. Hold on. Let me wait on it. Who else should I give you? You know what? Louis Marks, if I not already said them. Heavy Crowns, Mother Nature, Simba P.
It's a lot of people.
Coons. It is a lot of people. Do your homework. Whoever is looking at this list, do your homework. Every single person is literally leading the Chicago music scene right now.
Do you have like relationships with all these people in some way, shape, or form?
I do. Some of them I do. Some of them I don't. Some of them I met just as early as fucking a couple of weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? Folks like Asho Omega, Rizzy Conway, Thorn, like Inga Babe, all of these individuals, all of them truly are paving the way, this new wave in Chicago right now. Stock Marley, like all of these individuals. So look them up.
Look them up. By the way, I may or may not include this in the footage, but I just got brought onto the Rivet team, right? Which is this music tech startup, and they're trying to transform the ways that artists can engage with their fan bases and make money from their super fans. You might have an artist who has 200,000 monthly Spotify listeners, and they might still be really, really struggling to make any type of money off their music, but they have a fan base that is willing to go out of their way to give them money. They just might not know exactly who those people are. So Rivet helps you instantly find out across all your streaming, all your social media, who your like top fans are. Did they go to this show 3 months ago and then they bought this piece of merch and then they went to this pop-up, and what their whole journey was like. And so you can show love, you can create exclusive experiences. You can be like, you're my top 100 fans, so you're gonna get this exclusive t-shirt, but then also like you want to come to this private dinner, And so right now I'm doing artist development with them. So like for the past 9 years, I've personally flip-flopped between the tech and the culture scene. So whether it was with that guy Gabe over there trying to we thought we were going to make the next beats, we thought we were going to make headphones, to then I said, fuck this business shit, this is too boring, I'm gonna make music, I'm gonna be a rapper. And we made a collective around the city from out south, out west, up north called Exit the Premises. And then those people are still like, Solo Cello, he just moved to LA. He's one of those people who's like, I love Chicago, but I don't think I'm gonna get the most out of the city, which is a thing that people, I go back and forth on it because sometimes like people, you can leave the city and still come back.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, if anything, I know for me, I would love to live somewhere else. I'm going to live somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely want to be back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Like I damn near want to have a crib here, and a crib somewhere else. But it's like for me, this city is so monumental, not even just because of what it is and who's been inspired by it, but it's just something about this space. You know what I'm saying? That makes people, you know, like you just said, like, you know, folks will feel some type of way at one moment and the next moment they're back. You know what I mean? And I think that's just, I think that just speaks on the character of this city and its future. You feel me? Like, there's a lot of things that are about to change. There are things that are already changing. You know what I'm saying? And it's just the people that are doing the groundwork right now to change these things. It's just a very special time to be in Chicago right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's almost like we're not pushing or shunning anyone away, but you do have to understand that we're not playing. You know what I mean? Like, we really are about really bringing a different type of change to Chicago that isn't harmful, that isn't destructive, that isn't dismissive. Like, we're truly trying to make sure that we are building up our city, bro. Like, we're really building up our city with the music that we're creating, with the art that we're creating. We're pushing youth to even start thinking about, you know, even if you don't want to be a rapper or you don't want to be an MC or artist, it's like, okay, maybe you want to get into real estate. Maybe you want to get into, you know, just different things that bring value to the city.
Right.
We're trying to create folks that want to leave and then come back and buy up the whole block. You know what I'm saying? Like we're trying to really create those type of narratives and those type of energies because, again, in the last 10 years, that's not been a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like, for me, I love listening to Jeezy. You know what I'm saying? And every time I look at his interviews, bro always talks about like how he truly invests into, you know, where he came from and how he really wants to continue doing that for generations to come. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. But in real time, he's not doing nothing no different than any other white person that, you know, has resources and wants to build into, you know, where they live and, you know, bring all of these different things and successful things. And that's how gentrification is even started. You feel me? But if you got black and brown people doing that in their own communities, there's no way that we'll be here another 2 years from now saying how Chicago don't support each other.
Right. Hopefully not. We'll make it not, right?
Exactly.
We'll make it not. I mean, in the spirit of the intersection, that's exactly what I'm trying to do with this brand and this podcast is I think there's also this interesting, really unique time where the cultural and the arts scene with especially young people and the business and the technology and the economic scene is coming together in a new way where these worlds shouldn't feel like separate alienated worlds where, oh, that's a real estate, that's a business person. No, I'm a creative. I don't fuck with business. I don't fuck with business shit. I'm a creative. Oh, well, the creative stuff isn't really for me. People should be like this. People should be locked in, and we should be, because there's so many beautiful unconventional relationships and create sparks of creativity that come out of connecting those different kinds of people.
I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I'm trying to make, because even like my girlfriend, she don't like this scene. You know what I'm saying? And it's like when she talks about it, it's so depressing sometimes because I get it. I immediately understand why someone would not want to deal with this shit. This shit's stressful. This shit is like, it really challenges you mentally. You know what I'm saying? Like, even sometimes building with these people and building relationships with these people and, you know what I'm saying, like trying to look at the bigger picture and not looking at the fuck shit that's going on or the harmful shit that's going on. Like, it really is a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna hold you. My goal is to really make sure what I'm doing, one day she'll look at something and she'll be like, you know what? I'll go. Not even on no other reason, but it looks safe. It looks like it's not like untrustworthy. You know what I'm saying? And her thoughts are a lot of thoughts for a lot of people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like in real time, you know, that's something that we don't speak on a lot, is like just doing better by each other in this scene and having these conversations. You know what I'm saying? And I think really getting down to the nitty gritty of why you don't fuck with a person or why you don't think this person rocks with you, that's important. You know what I'm saying? Like I really want to have those honest conversations. Like you don't like me, you don't like my work. All right, let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're wondering why I'm not building with you. You're wondering why I'm not working with you, because there's a lot of artists in Chicago right the fuck now who literally are like, oh man, why ain't ThoughtPoet working with me, but he working with all these other people? You know what I'm saying? Like, why ain't he showing me love, but he's showing love to all these other people? Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it's something about you that I don't fuck with. Or maybe you're being harmful to people, and I'm trying to make sure I do my part and not perpetuating more harm by building with someone that I know, specifically women, have told me, nah, like they not really about that progressive shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that for me is something that I want in 2 to 3 years to be like, those conversations don't even have to happen no more, because we're so focused on, we've done that work. You know what I'm saying? We're continuously doing that work, you know what I'm saying, to really make sure people feel included. And just know that it takes more than one person. You know what I'm saying? This shit's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's truly bigger than all of us. You know what I'm saying? And it's really going to take everybody playing their part to really make it where when we even look back 5 years from now, you know what I'm saying, we could truly say this wave that came out of Chicago this time around, we really were trying to save our city while also doing the work to just better ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like it was so many people back then that were amazingly talented, and they were just so selfish. That's really the only way to put it. You know what I'm saying? And again, a lot of it came from harm being in this scene. A lot of it came from, just people doing bad business in this scene. A lot of it came from niggas just being weird to women and, wanting to do business with women in this scene, but you want to fuck on them. You know what I'm saying? Or you just, being like very just rude. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all of those things, and all of those things need to be talked about, because these things are holding us back. And that's why I'm so proud of everything that's happening, because all the artists, all the people that I've mentioned, all the people that I'm building with, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all are thinking like that because we've all been victims of these things. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we truly just want to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
It was a pleasure to bring you on today. Let's end this on an optimistic note.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's what do you think, what's a kind of positive message that we can leave people with about a future of Chicago where, like we said, the Andersonvilles look the same as the Auburn Greshams, and the tech people are locked in with the cultural people, and we're just like a new kind of city. I think we're close. You said this,
bro.
You said
not only are we close, but we're in a space again where it's so beautiful because it's very radical change. You know what I'm saying? And again, like Monty Jordan said, like Linda Soul said, it's that ego. We have to destroy our ego when it comes to really building and continuing to build. Everything you just spoke on as far as like how can we continue to build on the positive stuff that's happening in Chicago is really us understanding, again, if you're not good at something and I am, or it's vice versa, it truly is okay.
That's okay. It's not. It's okay if people are better than you. Let's work together.
And it's like, let's really build. Let's break bread. Let's, you know what I'm saying? Let's really, you know what I'm saying, build something that is going to stand the test of time, because that's what people before us did. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to music, all of these things, like that's what they did before us, and it really came with being able to trust who you building with. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us come from spaces where we don't have family. We don't have support. You know what I'm saying? Like we working on our last $20. You know what I'm saying? Like we spent our last to get here. We spent our last to do this. You know what I mean? Like, we're truly putting everything we have into this, and it's gonna be days where this shit is just like, you just got them doubts. You know what I'm saying? And it's like knowing that you've built a community or a tribe even of people that really believe in you and want to uplift you, and we all are working towards the same thing. It starts with ego. It starts with truly letting that go and realizing that the people that are around you are here to help you, not to hinder you, not to take away from you, but to help you become better. So.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, ThoughtPoet. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for, creating this space. You feel me? Like this again, I've been here for a minute, you know what I'm saying? And I think that if these things were around 10 years ago, like the change would be so different. But I feel like it's right on time, and the fact that you peep the same energies that I peep, it means a lot. So thank you for letting me take up space like this. So appreciate
Vice versa, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the show
today. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.